Hi all you beautiful people, my name is Jessie and I am the author of May I Only Leave Rose Petals. And today for my talk about my journey with my poetry book, I want to talk about the topic of pain. So again, I'm going to share a poem with you and then I'll go more into it. So the poem is called The Pain. Pain is a great teacher, often berated and ignored. But if one takes the time to ask the pain, why are you here? What is it am I to learn? Then that's when pain, once looked upon as an intruder, becomes a most wise counselor. Welcome pain as a most cherished guest, for she is merely illuminating the way to greater love. So in my early 20s, I was in this pattern of destruction. And one of the life-changing circumstances happened while I was in this pattern that really woke me up. And it had to do with what I thought was merely physical pain to begin with. So before I was inspired to write this poetry book, I was going through manic and depressive episodes and deep feelings of rage. And how I dealt with it was through binge drinking on the weekends and exercising. So exercise became a addiction as well as the binge drinking. And so I would exercise to the extent of 2 to 3 hours a day of high intensity exercises. And the first warning sign, because the universe really does send us warning signs, and actually I'd had little warning signs before even this big one, and they were just little thoughts in my head like, slow down, slow down, slow down, stop and smell the roses, and why are you doing this? And people suggesting I try yoga and these slower exercises, and I just did not listen. And so the first one was about when I was probably 21 or 22, I injured my back, and it took me out for a year, and it didn't stop my binge drinking, and it did not stop my exercising, but it toned everything down. And so once it healed after a year, I went back to that high intensity stuff when I knew in my heart that I was going down a destructive path. So the pain, my body was telling me what was going on through pain. My spirit and soul were working to help reach me, but I did not listen. And so about a year and a half to 2 years after that, I was doing plyometric jumps and felt this searing pain in my knee. And that was the big one. And so I'm still recovering from that injury, and that's been 5 or 6 years ago. And so with that, when that pain happened, when that injury happened, I was in denial. So even though I was on crutches and I literally could not walk on that knee, I used ice therapy, I used yoga. It really did slow me down finally. It caught my attention, but I was in denial, and I was thinking, you know what? I can heal this. I had read about law of attraction, and I was just willing myself to just heal it. And it would not heal. And I went to the doctor and was diagnosed with chondromalacia and jumper's knee. And by that point, excuse me, I was in therapy. I was looking at some surgery options, but they just didn't feel true to me. And so all these things that I was doing, my knee was slightly getting better, but I still was not honoring my body and giving myself space and time to heal. And what I really found was it brought me to the brink of that cliff of despair. And that is what led me into my first big look within myself. Because all this rage that I was ignoring, all this anger, all this depression, all this grief that I had been ignoring was welling up and coming out like a volcano now. And I had to address it because before, I was numbing it out through exercise and through drinking. And at this point, I wasn't going to parties anymore, and I was really looking into yoga more deeply, meditation, and my spiritual practices. But I had to do a lot of rage work and really feeling work to get out of that pattern of self-destruction and that go, 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 and trying to escape life. So what that really taught me is that our bodies are messengers. They are vehicles for our soul and God to communicate with us. And God and life and the universe will send us signs over and over and over, and they will increase in intensity until we get the message. So I was just very, very stubborn, and that is why I had to have this dramatic wake-up call, because I was not listening to my soul, which was telling me, slow down, stop and smell the roses, look at what you're trying to escape, deal with these hurts and pains within you, within your soul. And because I did not listen, because I ignored it, my body was used as a vehicle to wake me up. So pain is so much more, physical pain is so much more than physical pain. It actually has its roots in spiritual, emotional, and mental pain. And so I just want to give you guys hope and understanding to maybe look a little deeper into physical pains that you may have, because they're lessons and they're gifts to help bring us into harmony with the universe. And if this had not happened, I actually don't regret it happening. I used to. But if this had not happened, I would not have gone on this spiritual journey. And I would not have written this poetry book, I don't think. And so it really brought a lot of gifts and love into my life, especially self-love. So as Rumi says, the poet, these pains you feel are messengers. Listen to them. The cure for the pain is the pain. So I leave you with that, and I hope it brings you comfort and inner knowing and peace that you are not alone. And if you are going through physical pain, look a little deeper. There's probably a message behind it. So thank you, and God bless, and namaste.